Hello dear friends, I'm glad to welcome you on Sotnik-TV channel. It's September 14th, 2019. A lot has happened during the last days. We will discuss that a bit later. I must say that our channel and my account gets under attack regularly and especially recently. Someone really doesn't like my activity as a journalist. So, first of all, they strike the financial side of ours. They simply reduce the number of views, cancel the monetization and so on. I'm not even asking for donates now, as the situation is clear, it's hard for you, and no donations can be discussed during the crisis in Russia. First of all, I'm addressing the potential advertisers. Forget the numbers, those are faulty and wrong. The number of views you see should be multiplied by 5 or even 6. A great audience watches us, so let's cooperate. Please email us at prsotnik.tv@gmail.com. Let us cooperate for the mutual benefit. At least, thanks to you, we'll manage to save the amount of content being produced by Sotnik-TV at the moment. We may even get lucky to extend the amount of hours, even though I don't really believe in that now. But as you see, our format is changing. We've been making the interviews in new modern and authors format. We will go for a constant live broadcast. We will try to make news reports live and will move towards that goal. But as you know, that needs time and everything is really complicated. They put a spoke in our wheel. There appears to be lots of parties that don't need an independent public TV. They simply don't want that. And they put a spoke in our wheel. What happens if people start thinking themselves, start wondering independently? The deceit process can go harder as a result. And it's the deceit that our channel works against. And it's not even ours, but yours, Sotnik-TV channel. You might have noticed Skrepa Panorama show came out on Sotnik-TV channel earlier today. We will have Sotnik-TV broadcasting in Russian from now on, and try to make STV live channel broadcast in English. We need to make some content for those abroad. We need to translate our news reports and the analytics into English. We need to inform for those abroad to really understand the processes going on in Russia, as they don't understand that abroad. They still don't, but we'll try to fix that. So STV Live will work for the English-speaking audience. These days, some routine terror takes place inside the country. Alexey Navalny followers crack as some nuts. Searches took place in nearly 40 cities. People were arrested, having their property and the hardware expropriated, and the funds blocked. I'm not being ironical or sarcastic about that, as that is awful, but that's what has happened to us. The special services played a brilliant game. Those have identified the most active and promising ones. Those able to organize and to coordinate. The most active participants were highlighted and now got under attack. Whether Navalny wants that or not, his network includes the most active part of the society. Those young, vigorous and ready for action. Those radical to some degree. They are not extremists, but some active people. And that active part, not even being radical, was able to grow to an intellectual protest spine. There were some intellectual base that won't grow now, due to that debacle all over the country. Those forces were accumulated and in fact sacrificed to the special services, the KGB. The special services now have it all. The names, the passwords, the secrets, the computers, the accounts, you name it. And what is the chief up to meanwhile? He urgently packs his luggage and flies to Helsinki, then to the USA. And now let's take a look at the rationale behind that debacle. Those in Kremlin sure know what's gonna happen next. And that final chart of sacrificing the entire sect was likely one of the requirements for the opposition leader before his departure to the West. He had to hold a complex of some mass protest events to give the regime a solid reason for such harsh and illustrative crackdown. Kremlin got ahead during that special operation. Why would it need active and potentially dangerous citizens? Some serious socio-economical upheaval is coming that may lead to political jolt. Kremlin will focus on their internecine conflicts, interagency wars, and all kinds of minor and major interministerial problems. And all those peasants crawling at the bottom, that restless rabble, always getting in a way, demanding, yelling, unsatisfied, we are the authorities here and so on. They need to be cracked down right away. And the security forces are in the middle of that. Of course, they won't get everyone, as the core mass is sluggish and doesn't show itself anyway. Yet the quality crackdown is on now, the quality one. As I said, they were chopping the thinkers down to the root, that intellectual base that was very important. And the dumb force that will rise afterwards has no intellect and possesses no threat. That can be chopped just like some cannon fodder, and no one regrets. One may get hard on that dumb mass. Something hungry, shapeless, ragged, and wilding will come out. They are not some four-eyed intellectuals and won't have no plans or tactics. They don't know how to make it right and will simply trudge as some mess, some drunken hungry scums, with not enough money for booze and food, some wild outlaws inspiring fear. They have to get it hard. And that wild troop rising seems to be unavoidable now, as some major price drop to that beloved saving energy is coming really soon. I've talked about that several times, but always got ahead of myself. It was clear to me that it would happen, but I didn't know when. And now, German Gref, the head of Sberbank, admits that the government has no strategy. There's no such money to help the government, even despite the surplus and the plans to collect more funds. According to Gref, Russian economy will need to overcome the oil prices drop and another resource-based shock. He told that on Friday at Moscow Financial Forum. According to Gref, the barrel price may drop down much lower than $40 due to the world oil consumption decrease and almost uncontrolled production increase. Let me clarify what German Gref means. By much lower price, he means $25. And that's for now, which may drop even lower in future, even though not as likely as the $25 price. You may recall me saying that number That was 25 or even 23 or 24. Let it be 25, okay. I keep reading and quoting graph. That will result in some very low oil prices, some very low prices. Let me pull your attention to that. We're heading towards some major challenge. Graf said and added that Russia still wasn't ready for such threats. Should we get ready to yesterday's crisis, we'll miss the one tomorrow. The 25 trillion rubles national projects, state-funded by means of VAT increase and pension saving by the retirement age increase, won't result as expected, Graf warned. According to him, an economy development model different from the one decades ago is forming worldwide now. The old tools don't work anymore. The technologies one can't miss totally blew all the fields. The management field, the healthcare field, the education field. End of quote. So these are the items we have. 1. The state is ruined, with the ruined economy as well as the system of social obligations and warranties, along with the inflation and the entire degrading in all the fields without exception. Item 2. The resentment growing from below. While it's possible to crack down those hipsters, technically and strictly, using courts and so on, issuing the whole thing nicely. The thing that will uprise afterwards from that underlying God forgive people will result in some terrible riot. Drunk and cruel, senseless and merciless, as Pushkin once said, that will require blood on one's hands to be handled. Item 3. The infrastructure rundown issue. Don't forget that some wildest man-made disaster may happen any time now. Some terrible accident, and that's apart from Putin demanding retaliation weapons testing that may lead to another catastrophe, just like the recent one with Losharik and another one by Severodvinsk. So we need to keep in mind those dangerous nuclear superpower games. Item 4. Being a total outcast on the international scene, just like Zimbabwe and Congo, wearing golden rings in their noses. They take us as some total savages. Nobody wants to communicate and take us seriously like some punks. Item 5. The coming collapse of the main source of income of the gas station country, moving towards the leak of the world dumps. The world dumps leak. The oil prices fall. Do you know that Gazprom practically buys gas from itself? Let me quote. A rapid decrease of Russian gas demand in Europe, the collapse of spot prices at gas hubs, as well as the dozens of billion rubles cash gap, led Gazprom to selling the gas to itself. Based on the first half-year results, the gas supply to the European Union decreased by 8.9%. The collapse got double digits starting August. That reached 22% during the first 6 days of the month. A mysterious customer came to the aid of Gazprom, buying around 1 billion of cubic meters, Interfax news agency reports. That gas was included into the company's statistics, even though no pipeline operator registered that supply. The gas from Gazprom was bought by Gazprom Bank. So, as we see, the process of our great giant self-satisfaction begins. Do the dreams come true? Why not? Well, why don't you help yourself? Excuse me. As a result, we have a terrible option impending from the horizon. And no defeat is an option for the regime. A defeat means physical death for a dictator. The fast and painless one is some inaccessible prize for that dictator of ours. That would rather be terrible and torturous. Remember Gaddafi? That bloody ghost comes to Putin at night, at his scary wild dreams. So losing and leaving is not an option for Putin. Not just with blood on his hands. He will sail his galley throughout seething rivers of blood, just to survive himself, and such is the price for his life. The price of Yeltsin family survival was giving it all to Putin, the house's explosion, the Second Chechen War, and all that. And now the stakes have been raised. The price of Putin's survival are the blood rivers. He came with houses blessed, with war and death and blood. Do you think he will simply go? Talking about the power transit, dreaming of some transfer. There won't be no transfer. Thanks to those who have spent the 58 minutes with Sotnik-TV. Thanks to those liking and sharing this video. Thanks to those who, despite their attacks at our channel, remains loyal to that. Running an independent channel is much trouble. Not selling ourselves to anyone means some big inconvenience. That's why in Russia, first of all, they now teach young journalists how to sell themselves and to whom. But I'm not for sale, and so is Sotnik-TV. We will cooperate with advertisers, but we'll never sell ourselves. That's not an option for us. Watch Sotnik-TV and take care of yourselves, of your close ones, of your hearts and souls. We'll meet again in 1 week. Goodbye.